You're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Jharkhand, West Bengal and Bihar will inaugurate key developmental projects. Amidst rising need for humanitarian aid, India reiterates its support for Palestinian people, affirms continuation of relief supply and assistance. Russia is ready for dialogue with the United States
or beyond the region. And let me emphasize that a two-state solution is necessary more than ever before.
Russia is ready for dialogue with the United States but rejected any attempts to force into talks. Putin also warns Western countries against sending troops to Ukraine. And in a tragic incident in Bangladesh, at least 43 people have been killed after a fire broke out in a multi-story building. And on to the details now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will begin his visit to 3 eastern states of India on Friday. First, he will visit Jharkhand, where he will inaugurate, dedicate and lay the foundation stone of multiple developmental projects worth 35,700 crore rupees. PM will also dedicate Sindri fertilizer plant to the nation, third fertilizer plant to be revived in the country after revival of fertilizer plants in Gorakhpur and Ramagundam. PM will also dedicate to nation North Karanpura Super Thermal Power Project in Chhatra. Railway sector of the state will also get major boost with the Prime Minister flagging off 3 new trains. Later in the day, Prime Minister Modi will visit West Bengal, where he will inaugurate, dedicate and lay the foundation stone of multiple developmental projects worth 22,000 crore rupees. PM will also lay the foundation stone of Raghunathpur Thermal Power Station Phase 2, besides inaugurating Haldia-Barauni crude oil pipeline. Several other projects related to infrastructure, railroad, LPG supply and wastewater treatment to be the key focus areas in West Bengal. On Saturday, Prime Minister Modi will be in Bihar, where in a significant boost to this energy sector, nationwide projects worth 1.48 lakh rupees crore related to oil and gas sector will be taken up. And voicing grave concern over the situation in Palestine, India reiterated its support for Palestinian people and affirmed a continuation of relief supply and assistance. Speaking at the 55th session of UN Human Rights Council, Indian envoy to UN, Ambassador Arindam Bakshi said that the conflict must not spread within or beyond the region and a two-state solution is necessary more than ever before.
Continues to be of grave concern with large-scale loss of civilian lives, especially women and children, and an alarming humanitarian crisis. This is clearly unacceptable and we strongly condemn the death of all civilians. Mr. President, we must be clear that terrorism and hostage-taking are unacceptable and deserve our unequivocal condemnation. India has a zero-tolerance approach to terrorism. The return of hostages is imperative. We must also be clear about the universal obligation to observe international humanitarian law. Further, there is an immediate need for a sustainable humanitarian corridor to provide relief. The conflict must not spread within or beyond the region. And let me emphasize that a two-state solution is necessary more than ever before. These are not choices, these are all musts, and unless we are able to address all of them, we are not going to really solve the problem. India, on its part, will continue to support the Palestinian people through our bilateral development partnership, and we will also continue to send humanitarian assistance to the people of Palestine.
Well, every year, the world observes a Rare Disease Day in the last week of February, highlighting the importance of research and advocacy. While new ones are still being discovered, the National Institute of Health identified rare over 7,000 diseases. DD India's Jessica Taneja spoke with country head of AstraZeneca, Dr. Sanjeev Panchal. Take a listen.
Recently, in last few months, we have done two collaboration. One is Government of Karnataka. We have signed an MOU to have AI technology for X-ray screening for lung diseases, 29 modalities, which means that all district hospitals in Karnataka, X-rays which are happening would be screened to find an early signals of lung cancer. Now this is coming from a purpose of eliminating lung cancer as a cause of death in future, but we are doing this with Karnataka government.
That's a project you've already done in Goa as well.
And then after that we did in Goa. So we announced that collaboration first in October, and then in January we announced with Goa. So now we are working with each state government, for example, because we want to really make an impact. It's difficult to make an impact. The purpose is to eliminate lung cancer as a cause of death one day. Now this has to happen at a very large scale, and we are using AI for it, but what we have heard before and what we are doing now is to really partnering with the government. First we were doing in the private market, but now we believe that we have to collaborate for academia with the government institution. That's why Karnataka government and Goa government, and now we want to take this forward in other states as well.
Well, for the first time in the world, an Indian company has developed a kit that can convert any two-wheeler into a hybrid vehicle. Electronic vehicles are the future of transportation, but there are many fears in the middle of minds of customers about EVs, like low range and charging problems. A solution to these problems has now been found in India.
It's a conversion to petrol bike to hybrid mode, electric as well as petrol. One for the petrol, one for the electric one. For example, first 100 kilometer if you run from electric and your battery got exhausted, then you switch off this battery one and switch on the petrol one. It's a matter of fraction of seconds only. If you talk about the range, it varies from 60 to 120 kilometer, and for speed it varies from 70 to 125 kilometer.
And in a significant move in semiconductor space, the Indian cabinet has approved the setting up of 3 semiconductor units, marking a big leap towards making India a self-reliant country in this space and break the global hegemony of any one country. These units will make chips for sectors including defense, automobiles and telecommunications, and will begin construction within the next 100 days. India's Telecom Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw told reporters in briefing on Thursday, with this move, India is set to emerge as a design and manufacturing hub for semiconductors in years to come. I get you more.
The Union Cabinet, chaired by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has given go-ahead for the establishment of 3 semiconductor units under Development of Semiconductors and Display Manufacturing Ecosystems in India program. All 3 units will start construction within the next 100 days. Advanced packaging technologies will be indigenously developed in India with this announcement.
देश में सेमीकंडक्टर फैब का अप्रूवल देश के लिए बहुत बड़ा निर्णायक मोड़ है ये, और आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाने की जो संकल्प लिया है प्रधानमंत्री जी ने, उस संकल्प की बहुत बड़ी ये सिद्धि है। पहली कॉमर्शियल फैब भारत की बनेगी टाटा और पावर चिप ताइवान, इनके कोलैबोरेशन से धोलेरा स्पेशल इंडस्ट्रियल रीजन के अंदर बनेगी पहली semiconductor fab.
The multitude of strategic significance of Mission Semiconductor ranges from establishing the semiconductor ecosystem in India to leveraging India's deep capabilities in chip design and developing capabilities in chip fabrication. More semiconductor units will also lead to accelerated employment in automotive, electronics, manufacturing and other sectors. Advanced packaging technologies will also be indigenously developed in India with Thursday's announcement. The Indian Cabinet's approval of Semiconductor Fab or Semiconductor Fabrication Unit is a significant step towards making India a self-reliant country in semiconductor space. Besides this, India is also seeking foreign investments for its indigenous semiconductor industry for the development and design of fabrication units impacting India's semiconductor ambitions. Sakal Bhatt's report for DD India.
And India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman launched the electronic data interchange at Land Customs Station of India's northeastern states via virtual mode in New Delhi on Thursday. With these remote LCS getting EDI enabled, the movement of goods and customs clearances will now become more efficient and will enhance regional trade and economic growth.
In the densely populated areas such as the northeastern border with Bangladesh, sensitive border areas such as the northeastern border with Myanmar, these are very highly vulnerable areas. So it is important that we keep ourselves alert when we are manning these posts. As much as you would want to make sure that smuggling of precious metal or metal or dangerous drugs don't come into India, you need to act on every actionable intelligence that you receive when you're talking about the country's cultural rich heritage. We do not want many of our antiques to just be taken away like this. India often exchanges or provides on a lien the Buddhist relics to various friendly nations. We send them as a part of our goodwill building.
Well, the Ministry of Women and Child Development hosted the Poshan Utsav celebrating nutrition event in New Delhi on Thursday. The event was graced by Minister Smriti Irani and Bill Gates co-chair Melinda Gates Foundation. Poshan Utsav aims to promote holistic nutrition among children by utilizing popular cartoon characters through collaboration with Amar Chitra Katha.
I really appreciate the creative way that the ministry is working to teach kids about food in a way that will connect with them. Poshan Utsav is a great example of incorporating local context and cultural practices to promote nutritional foods across India's diverse communities. Minister, your efforts to improve nutrition outcomes, expand childcare, and provide opportunities for women's economic empowerment are driving progress for India's women and girls. And as we all know, when you improve the life of a woman, there's a ripple effect. You improve her community and her country. I'm optimistic that we'll continue to see a lot of progress in nutrition in the years ahead, and that India will be at the forefront of that progress.
In an effort to endorse cultural heritage and traditional nutritional practices, a Poshan Utsav book has been curated and launched. This book serves as a comprehensive guide on food, providing insights from cultural, social, economic, and scientific perspectives. Its purpose is to revive ancient nutrition traditions, facilitate knowledge exchange, and support intergenerational learning. Additionally, the book serves as a repository for appreciating the rich culinary heritage and nutritional diversity of the country.
Mr. Gates, I am grateful for your sense of adventure, for your generosity, and for your continued support to the Prime Minister's flagship scheme, Poshan Abhiyan. When the Honorable Prime Minister pronounced Poshan Abhiyan in 2018, and I'd like to contextualize a bit, that nutrition as a national effort has been undertaken since the 1970s. However, when Prime Minister Modi took office, for the first time in the history of our country, not one, not two, but 18 ministries across the government of India were brought together under the national flagship scheme called Poshan. And why so? Because the Prime Minister believes in collaboration. Collaboration and cooperative federalism was one of his governance agendas.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. India's Defence Research and Development Organization conducted 2 successful flight tests of very short-range air defence system missile on Wednesday and Thursday. The tests were conducted from Integrated Test Range off the coast of eastern state of Odisha. These tests were carried out against high-speed unmanned aerial targets under different interception scenarios. The targets were intercepted and destroyed by the missiles. The three-day Asia Economic Dialogue 2024 started on a strong note on Thursday with the inaugural session on the topic promoting economic integration in South Asia. The panelists included Foreign Secretaries of India, Nepal, Bangladesh and was chaired by Ambassador Gautam Bambawale, former Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan. India's Jammu and Kashmir concluded its first ever Agri-Math Science Congress 2023-24 on Thursday. The three-day annual event was held in Sher-e-Kashmir University of Agricultural Sciences and Technology. Experts from agriculture, medical sciences, biomedical research, Ayush and Unani medicine gathered together to discuss reshaping bioeconomy towards One Health. The goal of the event is to bring people from medical science and agriculture sciences to one platform. Scientists made a surprising discovery in the foothills of the Western Ghats in India of a mushroom growing out of the side of the frog. This is the first time that a mushroom has been observed growing out of a living being. The frog was not captured. Instead, the researchers took pictures of it and documented it in a note published in the journal Reptiles and Amphibians. Fungus experts identify the white growth to be a bonnet mushroom, which usually grows in dead and rotting wood. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Judge rejects Trump's evidence request in classified docs case to determine a schedule as to when one of Donald Trump's criminal cases will go to trial. Polish government and farmers are on the same side and have the same goal, says Polish Prime Minister after meeting farmers. And Cape Town artist retells story of township life, which was deeply rooted in community through his paintings.
The curious case of Julian Assange. The future of lunar exploration. And the biggest snake discovered in the Amazon rainforests. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on a day before the funeral of Russia's main opposition figure, Alexei Navalny, and amid the two-year-long war with Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin delivered a powerful State of the Nation address. Putin warned that any escalation by NATO could trigger the use of nuclear weapons and expressed his growing confidence in the war's direction. He also accused NATO of preparing to strike Russian territory. Syed Absarul Hassan has more on this.
President Vladimir Putin delivered his annual State of the Nation address on Thursday, updating the nation on the war in Ukraine, Moscow's nuclear capability, the country's economy and relations with the West. The speech comes 2 weeks ahead of a presidential election in which Putin is expected to win another 6-year term in landslide. Putin cautioned NATO countries, stating that they risk nuclear conflict by deploying troops to Ukraine.
We also have weapons. They know about this. And I just said we also have a weapon that can hit targets on their territory. And they should understand that what they are doing now, trying to scare the whole world, it does risk a conflict with nuclear weapons, which means the destruction of civilization. Don't they understand this, or what?
Putin stated that Russia is prepared for a dialogue with the US on strategic stability, but he rejected any attempts to coerce Russia into negotiations.
Russia is ready for dialogue with the United States on the issue of strategic stability. Our position is clear. If you want to discuss the significant, important issue of security and stability, which is important for the entire planet, you must do so only in a single junction. Naturally, including all those aspects that affect our national interests and directly affect the security of our country.
Putin also said Russia had used advanced weapon systems, including Zircon hypersonic missiles, and that it held the military advantage in Ukraine. On the ground, Russia asserted control over a strategic village in the Ukrainian Avdiivka direction. Meanwhile, Ukraine reported a launching attack on Russian air defense system. The Russian army repelled several assaults by the Ukrainian army and initiated offensives in Kupiansk and other directions, resulting in destruction of the Ukrainian army equipment, including tanks, armored vehicles and self-propelled artillery. Syed Afsarul Hassan for DD India.
Well, US President Joe Biden will talk to Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni on Friday about high-priority global challenges, including military aid for Ukraine and humanitarian aid for Gaza. They are due to hold a bilateral meeting at the White House. Caroline Malone reports for more from Washington.
The US has been struggling to get new military aid spending for Ukraine through Congress, with divisions within the House and Senate on what the priority should be for spending. But President Biden still insists the US supports Kyiv in their campaign to fight back against Russian aggression as part of a more than 2-year-long war. It's a high agenda item for Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, with Italy also holding the current G7 presidency, a role which involves coordination with allies in NATO on their security alliance. The US has also honed in on more sanctions for Russia's actions and repression, particularly for those involved in the imprisonment of the opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who died or was killed, his family say, in prison in Russia. Well, the two leaders will also discuss preventing any more escalation of violence in the Middle East. The US has been pushing for a truce between Israel and Hamas, with Egypt and Qatar supporting talks also to get all hostages freed. But getting humanitarian aid into people who need it in Gaza has become even more difficult, with the United Nations accusing Israel of blocking shipments. And on Thursday, Israeli troops fired on a large crowd of Palestinians who were trying to get food aid from a convoy in Gaza City, killing more than 100 people. An attack that's been widely condemned, and with President Biden saying it could actually make getting to a ceasefire even more difficult. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
And former US President Donald Trump on Thursday visited the US-Mexico border in Eagle Pass, Texas, with Governor Greg Abbott. US President Joe Biden and Trump made dueling visits to the US-Mexico border as an influx of immigrants has become a dominant issue for the voters. The visit comes on the same day as President Joe Biden's visit to the border town of Brownsville, Texas. Trump was briefed by officials with Abbott at the Rio Grande before speaking at Shelby Park in Eagle Pass. The number of migrants caught crossing the US-Mexico border illegally hit a monthly record of 250,000 in December, but dropped by half in January. And a massive fire at a 7-story building in Bangladesh's capital Dhaka has killed at least 43 people and left dozens injured. According to the fire service officials, the fire originated in a restaurant and quickly spread to other floors. Bangladesh's Health Minister Samanta Lal Sain told reporters after visiting the Dhaka Medical College Hospital that the injured are admitted with severe burns and are in critical condition. Relatives of the fire victims waited at the hospital to receive the bodies of their loved ones, while some were seen screaming outside the emergency departments. And moving on, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said on Thursday held a meeting with leaders of various farmer groups. Donald Tusk said that Polish government and farmers are on the same side and have the same goal after the meeting. Like much of Europe, Poland has been gripped by protest in recent weeks as farmers demonstrate against European Union environmental regulations. Tusk said the provisions of the Green Deal, EU's regulations meant to tackle climate change, should be lifted or suspended, and he will negotiate it within the European Union. Well, Iranians will vote in a parliamentary election on Friday. It is seen as a litmus test of the clerical establishment's popularity amid growing discontent over economic political and social strains. Iran's clerical rulers are seeking a big turnout to shore up their legitimacy, damaged following months of mass protest ignited by the death in custody of a young woman in 2022. On the same day as the parliamentary vote, Iran holds elections to pick 88 members of a powerful clerical body known as the Assembly of Experts, which is tasked with appointing or dismissing the supreme leader. And South Korea's government made a last appeal to junior doctors to end a walkout with hours left to go before the Thursday deadline. Thousands of medical interns and residents have been on strike for about 10 days to protest the government's push to boost medical school enrollments. Government officials have warned that strikers would face legal repercussions if they don't return to their hospitals by Thursday. According to the Health Ministry, as of Wednesday night, around 9,000 of the country's 13,000 medical interns and residents were confirmed to have left their hospitals after submitting resignations. Well, Abu Dhabi's first Babs Hindu temple, recently inaugurated by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is likely to open its doors to the public from Friday. Authorities said that the temple will be open to the public from the 1st of March from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. The temple will remain closed for visitors every Monday. There is no entry fee. However, devotees have to register on the official website or through the Festival of Harmony app before their visit. The unique temple in the desert spreads over a 27-acre plot in Abu Mureka. And in sports, India's Trisa Jolly and Gayatri Gopi Chand advanced to the women's double quarter-finals of the German Open Super 300 badminton tournament on Thursday. The Indian pair pulled off a comfortable 21-10, 21-11 straight game win over a Czech Republic duo of Sona Horenkova and Katerina Zuzakov in a round of 16 match. The Indian duo will next play the winner of the match between Francesca Corbett and Alison Lee and sixth seeds Jingyi and Xu Min Liu. However, it was curtains for India in the women's and men's single events, where India's Akarshi Kashyap lost to sixth seed Mia Blanchflet of Denmark in the round of 16, and Satish Kumar Karunakaran was shown the door by Ireland's Nahat Nguyen in the men's singles second round. And a glittering closing ceremony with musical performances from local artists marked the end of the 4th Khelo India University Games 2023 in the presence of Assam's Sports Minister Nandita Gurlosa and Joint Secretary in India's Sports Ministry Prem Kumar Jha on Thursday. Chandigarh University were crowned the overall champions of the KIUG 2023 with a total of 71 medals, including 32 gold, 18 silver and 21 bronze. This is the first time that Chandigarh University has won the overall crown. Lovely Professional University were second with 20 gold, 14 silver and 8 bronze, while Guru Nanak Dev University with 12 gold, 20 silver and 19 bronze, and were only contingent apart from the champions to cross the 50-medal mark. The 4th edition of the Khelo India University Games witnessed participation of more than 5,000 athletes from over 200 universities in the 20 disciplines held across the various venues in Assam and other northeastern states. The event witnessed several record-breaking performances in various events from the athletes, setting a new on-field benchmark. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Vipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.